it's overwhelming for me to think about this right now. I'm trying to think about, wow, a creation story, started right in this pond. And at the head of the pond, we have this site that's been there for thousands of years.
My phone rang at home, and I rarely get calls on my home phone except for sales call, and it was Ted Sanderson. And he was telling me that a gentleman by the name of Michael Kent, who's one of the developers, or a partner within the developer firm, was on a backhoe about to plow up a precious archaeological site.
I came here first probably around 1992 when there was plans for the development of a housing subdivision, and the archaeological assessments had determined that this area might be sensitive.
This area, I grew up, a friend lived down the way, the Kenyans, and we used to come here to drink and party and light fires and sit around the fires, not light fires. But now, when I was growing up here, all the sand, wherever you dug, it was red. And at the time, it didn't really, I wasn't aware of the significance of it being red. And then I hear about my ancestors having a village here, and it sort of struck me odd to know that there was red sand at this place where my ancestors once lived.
The land, when I remember it, was a 9-hole golf course. When the war came, the part of the course was dug up for to grow potatoes, and I believe after the war, a lot of the loam was sold by the Kenyan family that owned the property, and a lot of it went to Long Island, the Levitt town development.
We're standing here at RI 110, which is also known as the Salt Pond Site. The Salt Pond Site is a location of an ancient Narragansett Indian village that predates colonial arrival.
This land here, all of this land that's been defiled and misused, it's a site that in the good weather, my ancestors would come. They would have their weetus, they'd have their gaming lodges, they would gather things, they would dry different seafood, they would smoke oysters, they could have scallops, clams. When you hear the rustle, it's almost like music. And every once in a while there's a beat. And I'm not a dancer, I'm not even a tribal dancer, but every once in a while that rustle comes and I'm ready to move my feet, move my body. And I thank you, whoever you are, whatever spirits that are here, because I know you're here to give me blessings.
I was at work one Friday night. It was late in the day, probably 4:30, 5 o'clock, and my wife called me and said, I don't know what's going on, but there's all these big bulldozers and dump trucks and everything going down the street.